Holy, share your recipe without giving us your entire life story first.
What?
This is Flight Check Season 4, Episode 6. We're back once again with a new way to start the show. I'm just going to give you my hot take and rant in one sentence every time we start the show. My pet peeve of the day. It's my new bit.
Was that because I just told you how to make a sauce?
Yeah, and it was great. You told us your recipe, but you didn't give us your entire life story first, you know? So that was perfect. We're having a lot of fun over here. Been having a lot of fun already behind the scenes, but here we are.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were going for the Dune reference at first, and I was like, is there something about cooking in Dune too?
No. I was trying to come up with a Dune reference. I was thinking about, holy, Lisan al-Gaib, but, it didn't, I didn't want to.
Didn't roll off the tongue.
Didn't roll off the tongue that well. Not that mine really worked all that great either. Hey.
No. Far better.
You win some.
I mean, it was great. I just was shook.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed seeing the reaction in y'all's faces. You win some, you lose some, Hey, this is Flight Check. My name is always Sandy Toes, to my left and my extra left. Just two gentlemen tonight, Nox War and Curly Double Q. Been a couple weeks, took a break last week with the absolute dearth of LCS content. But we're back now. LCS Week 5 is in the books. NACL Week 7 is in the books. A lot of great stuff going on all around esports, actually. I've only managed to watch the first map of Loud versus Sentinels from the VCT NA kickoff final, but I'm looking forward to watching the rest of that best of 5.
I was going to say, do you know the spoilers on it?
I do know the spoilers, yes.
Okay. Well, you got 4 more maps to go.
I got 4 more maps to go. Yeah. No, I'm well aware. But yeah, great weekend. Great couple weeks just in terms of other esports stuff that's been going on. We had Genesis. Full Bloom was a week ago. There's some more Melee stuff coming up. We will touch on what's been going on for Jmook later on in the show. We'll discuss Fly Red in the Valo scene. What they're looking for, and we'll catch you up on what's going on with the Counter-Strike team as well. But, as always, gotta catch up with the crew over here. Nox, what's the last couple weeks been looking like for you? Any new house projects been going on lately?
I finally got to doing yard work, and it is not anywhere near as quick as I was hoping it would be, but... I finally bought a lawnmower. I finally got a bunch of gardening tools. Our entire garden was just overrun with weeds and various grass and stuff, and it was just not looking good. And so it was finally warm enough outside. I finally had enough free time on the weekend to go out, pulled all the weeds out, got the whole garden cleaned up, got the whole lawn completely mowed, except for the last tenth of my front yard. So really quick, there's a sidewalk right here. And then there's the road, and there's one little strip of grass right here. I got to this little section right here, and then the mower died, and I had to go charge it again because I got an electric mower. So I knocked that out probably 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of the weekend was spent doing all that. So you can't tell, but I'm actually sunburned a little bit. I'm very rosy red. So I'll have a nice tan coming in. So no, that's kind of what I've been doing this whole past weekend. So whenever I wasn't doing that, I had League going on my phone, which is cool. When I was done, I was watching the Valorant finals, which was quite a banger.
Oh yeah.
So no, it was solid weekend.
Nice. Curly, how about you? What's been the last couple weeks like for you?
Last couple of weeks for me, I've been putting in a lot of time at the bar, fixing it up in the daytime and slinging drinks at the nighttime.
Nice.
Got to take care of a couple different shifts from normal, see different people. It was a real fun time. And now we're kind of just getting ready for St. Patrick's Day because it's on a Sunday, which we're not open for, but Saturday we're trying to make it a big deal. So very excited for that. And then just this morning, I woke up really early. Was the first Flight Check host awake, as far as I'm aware, and just kind of literally hit the ground running as I went to the gym. And I'm just trying to get in some good, healthy habits. get a little bit leaner before I head out to California at the end of the month.
Nice. Perfect.
Got to get that beach bod.
Oh, for sure. Hey,
Cool.
first question I want to ask you guys tonight. What did you think of this LCS face-off thing that they did this past weekend? My take on it is it really didn't deliver on what I would have hoped for. Like I was watching Saturday's broadcast again last night and just catching up. And the Cloud9 FlyQuest game came on. And it's JoJo and Inspired, and Jat is trying to bait them into, some trash talk. And they're just like, oh no, I love this guy. He's a great player, and he's a great player. He's really good, and I don't really have anything bad to say about him. And meanwhile, Flowers at the start of the show is like, 2 teams enter, 1 team leaves. Sunday, 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 and you're like, okay, all right, we're about to see some real knockout, knuckle dragging blowout brawls here, and then it's just like, oh no, he's a good guy. Okay, he's pretty cool. I was kind of left wanting a little bit.
So did you see the Bwipo and Sniper exchange though?
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
I did see that. That was better.
Yeah, that was what I was kind of hoping for. I will say I don't think Jat. I don't know if it was Jat's decision to grab the two JoJo and Inspired specifically, but I would say the pair of them maybe wasn't the best option. I would have maybe preferred kind of something similar to what Sniper and Bwipo was. Grab your lane opponents, right? Not ex teammates. They're not gonna sit here trash talking each other unless. I don't know. I think Jat or whoever told him to grab those 2 people could have done a better job on that particular combination. But
yeah, no, I would agree.
I think in general, I like the ideas. I like the concepts, especially it's not the casters and the production side's fault for what was going on this weekend, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's way above their heads. So I think for what it's worth, the ideas were there. Some of the execution was okay. Some of it missed, but at the end of the day, I think I liked what they tried. It just could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they kind of pulled it off. Given the circumstances, I think they pulled off to the best of their abilities. Unfortunately, you can't force players to be good at shit talking. They just have to be ready to do it. So it was always going to be a bit of a gamble if you tried to get them to do that before the match. Because the other thing is, before the match, you're kind of in the zone. You're probably gameplaying a little bit. So you're being pulled out just after draft as you're loading in, and you have to take your mind away from the game for just a little bit. So it probably threw some of them off,
Right.
But I think I like what they tried to go for. And it kind of reminded me a bit of Worlds 2020, if you remember that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of liked it a little bit, because as much as I love the audience, when you can make the games that intimate, it's really satisfying. You can see your opponent right in front of you. There is nothing between you but the monitors, And so I feel like it makes you play a little bit harder.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. That is super fair. What were some of the general impressions you guys got from this past weekend? I put out a tweet earlier today talking about how I feel like Cloud9 is back. TL kind of looks the same. I had a couple other takes in there, Dignitas might contend for top 4, which I thought was a nice little spicy take to throw out there. But what were some of the big takeaways for you guys from this week?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you that Cloud9's back. I know they had a bit of a sloppy game against TL, but there's in some ways, I know JoJo was completely trash talking APA in that post game interview or in pros or whatever, but TL is in some ways not a bad team. They can push you, and so I'm not overly concerned, but I think in general, yeah, Cloud9 is 100% back. It sucks that FlyQuest had to play them immediately after they got their crap figured out after that long break, but it is what it is. So I think more than anything, I don't think we should be playing them in playoffs just due to the way the seeding works. But that upper bracket finals, that's where I'm expecting to meet them, and that's going to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Curly, how about you?
I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if I would say C9 is actually back, because if I'm being real, and this is going to sound toxic and it's going to sound like Flame, we only experiment against mid teams, and this draft, this game gave me the same vibes as when we lost to Shopify Rebellion. We tried something new against a team we should beat. It didn't work out. We went back to the basics the next day, and it won. So like we're just getting the int out on these mid teams, and like the fact that they almost lost to Team Liquid, I think the loss there says more about Team Liquid than it says about C9. I don't think Team Liquid is all that together, and like if they don't fix their shit, they're probably going to end up in the lower bracket if they even stay in playoffs, because they're only one game ahead of Shopify Rebellion. So if Shopify pops off this weekend, they could easily kick Dignitas or Team Liquid out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I want to get your guys' thoughts on NRG. 2 games this weekend where basically had to come from behind, and in one case way behind, and basically versus that TL in that TL game swung a nice team fight at the end to like squeak out a dub. Is NRG for real, or are there some question marks that you guys have?
It's tax season, and I think I hear the IRS calling because I smell some frauds in the LCS right now. I do not trust NRG at all. But then again, last tax season, these guys were smelling quite fraudy, and then they proceeded to win the LCS. So right. Who knows? But no, they do not look good at all. I don't trust them at all. I'm so skeptical of what they're showing.
Yeah, Curly, what about you?
Yeah, definitely a rough weekend. I think if Team Liquid didn't get such a magnet for Huhi towards the end of the game, I don't think that game could have went their way. But, if the other team ints harder, you can pull it out. But I'm thinking this might just be a bad week. Got to get the dust off when you come back from a little bit of a break. And so I'm hoping they finish strong, because I want to see them in the top 4 with us personally. I think it would be very fun to have them stick around in the upper bracket.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting... It's going to be an interesting final week. Super week coming up. 3 games. We'll get into talking about that later on tonight. But we got to talk about FlyQuest. Curly, do you have anything you want to say in regards to the prediction jinx that you brought upon us this past weekend?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, we only experiment against mid-teams, and this time the experiment failed. And then, particularly in the top lane, we were setting Bwipo up for failure, because I want to say Aatrox in the LCS has a 40-something% win rate, right? And that's on the low end of 40. So just don't pick it, dog. If you want your top laner to have a good time, pick him so many other things but the Aatrox.
Oh, yeah.
And and sometimes I need to be humbled, It's not easy being the biggest hype man on this podcast. It's not easy having all of the hopium in the world. Sometimes you need to be humbled. Because
you
that makes
actually balance this out pretty well in that aspect. You are our go-to hopium and copium supplier, so we thank you for that, Curly.
I mean, someone has to do it. Someone has to keep the faith, and that sometimes seems to fall to me. And by sometimes, I mean every time. Because, I don't think I've predicted FlyQuest to lose once. No. Yeah, no, I don't know if I've predicted FlyQuest to lose once this split, now that I think about it.
And something tells me...
No, I've got... you don't need to go through Discord. I have all of our graphics right here. So I'll just pull it up in a quick second. Let's see. Go to my graphics folder. Let's see. I've got 2-0 week 1, 2-0 week 2, 3-0 week 2.
Did I hear 2-1?
2-0. Oh, no, never mind. That's just his overall. Week 5. Look at your week 5.
My week 5 is...
Oh,
That's me. I predicted the 1-1.
Yeah. I think I might have That might be a graphic error if you're reading something there. But yeah, I'm looking at everything. I have not predicted FlyQuest to lose at all this this split. And who knows, that might change.
Who knows? We will find out. But hey, let's talk about what's it called? Week 5. We did lost to Cloud9 on Saturday. So let's talk about that as I pull up the draft. Knox, assuming you've been able to watch this matchup, any big thoughts on this one? I have a couple, but I'll let you go first, and I want to see if we're on the same page.
On the draft for Cloud9?
Just on the game in general.
I didn't really take notes on the draft. I think I told myself it was fine. So, okay, my notes for Cloud9. Yeah, I put specifically, I think draft was okay, parentheses, question mark, parentheses. So, that's all I really had for draft. I think really what killed us this game was, so basically, Inspired does an early invade on red into the blue side jungle, or into the red side jungle on blue side for of Cloud9.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, as he's coming down to take the Krugs early on, Masu and Busio are kind of holding the lane, which is generally beneficial for them, right? Like, because it kills more minions and it like gives less for Berserker to farm, so on and so forth. It's like those little things. It's actually good, right?
Right.
The problem becomes is that they held it right before it hits the tower, and it bought just enough time for Berserker and Vulcan to realize, oh hey, because they had a ward to spot Inspired out. Oh hey, he's on our Krugs. Let's go push him off.
Right.
And that set, like, it's crazy how far behind that actually set Inspired, because Blabber's on a Nidalee, which clears way faster, right?
Yeah.
And immediately you saw Berserker and Vulcan push Inspired off, and you saw Blabber immediately go into Inspired's red side jungle on the red side of the map.
Yeah.
And from that point on, Inspired was just behind the entire time.
Right.
And I think really that just set everything else behind in terms of tempo, because Inspired wasn't able to match stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how tiny little things like that you wouldn't even really realize, but like it completely screwed Inspired over off that one little thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of my big note I would have overall.
Yeah, I think the two things I did not like that I'd have to point out is I didn't like the Maokai or Karma picks in particular. Just didn't feel like there was not a ton of agency on either end. These are like slow. I mean, I guess Karma has the speed up. But Maokai's like a slow-moving champ, has some engage, but you can usually just kind of like walk out of it half the time. It just didn't feel like the Maokai was particularly effective, and the Karma, I don't think it's as good as maybe like it was earlier on in the season. I remember people were banning the Karma like all the time just to not play against it. I just don't think it's as good now. The comp felt like it needed... If we could have had a 6th player, it needed like a 6th champion just to add like some extra oomph. There was no champion in this list that I was like, yeah, that is going to be the real difference maker. I mean, obviously you can point to the Varus is supposed to be that character, but I just don't think, he wasn't able to get going quick enough. The game ends at like 29-42, so he just doesn't have enough time to really like get himself going, frankly. So, this just felt like a draft that needed more agency, needed something else from it, and just one swap out could have been better.
For the last thing I'll say, then I'll let you go, Curly, is this draft for me just screams that you just want to set up on objectives and then hold. Because I mean, look how much poke there is. There's Karma, Varus, Ashe, and then you have Maokai with the ultimate that can zone people out. And then if you need someone to go in, you got Quippo's Aatrox, right?
Right.
That's what this comp wants to do, and I can see it working. But I think the other thing, and I have to give props to Cloud9 for this, is just the B3 Renekton Nidalee. Like, that is like, okay, granted, if we don't get a lead out of the early game, we're screwed.
Right.
But that's kind of what they bet on, and that's exactly what happened. They got the lead in the early game, and they just continue to roll from there, which is exactly what those two champions are supposed to do.
Right.
So, props to Cloud9. That's exactly what they needed to do. They did it and went on from there. I will say, I think if Fly had properly neutralized Blabber in the early game, like if that push off for Inspired hadn't happened, I think this is a totally different game. I think this game is very, very hard for Cloud9 to play out in the mid game.
Yeah, that tracks. Curly, what were your thoughts?
I mean, it really did feel like a weird draft. I'm not a fan of the Karma mid, period. I don't personally see what the game plan is supposed to be with that in this meta. And then I feel like we kind of overdo this Ashe support. It's not my favorite thing, if I'm being real. Especially, I don't know, like, unless you're able to really, like, kind of keep bullying your opponents and poke them out of lane, which is what I feel Ashe wants to do. Like, it's kind of a wasted pick, especially, like, later on, because, you know, all she really adds is CC. She doesn't add any sustain or, like, shielding. She doesn't protect anyone. All she does is kind of lock people down. So there's, like, if your Karma's not able to pop off, your whole team's just kind of extremely vulnerable. So, like, I don't know how much I want to see this Ashe support going into playoffs, especially because that's going to be a different meta, likely because of the patches. But yeah, that's kind of my thing on it.
Nox,
do you have it's just weird picks.
Do you have any issues with the Ashe support?
I kind of do too, but I hadn't really thought through it too much, and I was trying to check the stats on it really quick before I talk out of my ass. But so Ashe supported currently 4 and 3 overall, 3 and 4 overall.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, the way Inspired wants to play, it makes sense because of the hawk shot. It gives him vision where the enemy jungler is. He understands where he can be, where he cannot be. It gives him an idea where he should run. On top of the fact it has a lot of great pick potential, which, to Busio's credit, has hit, like, I think 3 or 4 different, like, long-range full map snipes now with the arrow, which has been a huge change in pace for the team when it's mattered. So, I mean, props to him on that. But I think, in general, I'm not a fan of it, because if you're not hitting these huge picks and the early game pathing isn't really doing all that much, in my opinion. I think Inspired's a good enough jungler to not have to rely upon hawkshot.
Right.
I don't think it's really doing that much. I think there are other champion picks that you can utilize to maybe pressure your lane a little more. Because that's the other reason Busio is using it, right? It's like these lane advantages for Masu, which, if you notice, like, I saw some people criticizing our bot lane a little bit in the loss versus Cloud9, and it's like, no, if you look, like, sorry, not Cloud9, 100 Thieves, because, like, they got killed, right, by the river,
right,
level 2 gank. It's like, if you check, even though he lost early due to that gank, he still came back, he still farmed more than Meech, and he still had a higher damage output. Like, he still won that lane even with the death. But that was also partially because of the Ashe support. So there's a lot of different reasons why FlyQuest is picking this champion. I just think there's probably something else in the tank that would probably be better utilized, I think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Yeah, not much else to say about this one. I just think Cloud9 really leveled up in the break, and I think they're looking good. They're up to 6-5 now. They are tied for 3rd with NRG in the standings. And it's shaping up to be I think it's going to be a very competitive playoffs. I'm very interested to see how things shake out in there. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. Where do you guys think Cloud9 will overtake 100 Thieves to get into 2nd place by the end of next week? I mean, just looking at their schedule. So Cloud9, let me just let you know who Cloud9 plays. Hang on,
100 Thieves has a very easy schedule. I don't know what Cloud9's is.
100 Thieves, I would argue, has a harder schedule than Cloud9.
Okay, fair.
Cloud9 plays Dig, Immortals, Shopify.
Okay, that is that is pretty easy.
100 Thieves
All right.
plays Immortals and Shopify. So they play two of the same 3 teams. But then 100 Thieves has to play NRG instead of Dig.
But NRG also hasn't. Don't get me wrong. I would still classify NRG harder than Dig, but NRG does not look that good either.
Right.
So having said that, what's the game gap between them right now? Is it 2 games or is it 1?
It's 1 game. So theoretically, Cloud9 also has the 1-1. They would have to go to a tiebreaker for second place, I believe.
All right, here's my tie. I'm predicting a tiebreaker. It's going to happen. Cloud9's going to go 3-0. 100 Thieves is going to drop a 1 game. There's going to be a tiebreaker that occurs. Yep, to NRG probably. And then there will be a tiebreaker, in which case Cloud9 will win, and yes, they will overtake 100 Thieves.
Now, it's interesting that you say that, Nox War.
Okay.
Because NRG's schedule this week, if you're saying NRG beats 100 Thieves, NRG also plays Shopify Rebellion. So let's just assume that they're going to win that too. And then NRG plays FlyQuest. And if for some reason they repeat their victory, now maybe NRG is 9-5, Cloud9 is 9-5, and 100 Thieves is 9-5.
I mean, I'm down for a 3-way tiebreak shenanigans.
And you've got that
down to send
6 3-way tiebreaker going on. There's a world.
Because I think all those teams are 1-1 with each other, right?
Let's see. 100 Thieves and Cloud9 are 1-1. 100 Thieves and
Cloud9
NRG.
is 2-0 over NRG.
Oh, okay. Well, so basically what would happen then would be NRG versus 100 Thieves, and then Cloud9, because of the tiebreaker over that, would have the final spot, but there would still be a tiebreaker played, I believe.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that would work. Yeah. So, some interesting scenarios possible this upcoming Super Week.
I love theorizing tiebreakers at the end.
I just think it goes to show, though, that the top half of the league is so close. And what's interesting to me is that the third place teams, they're 1 game over 500. They're 1 game, they're a single win or loss away from having a losing record. And you've got some real parity just in terms of the way the record's stretched. So you've got FlyQuest at 8-3. Flip that, you've got Immortals at 3-8 at the bottom of the league. 100 Thieves 7-4. Flip that, you've got Shopify at 4-7 in second and 7.
Oh wow!
And then you've got you've got 2 6-5 teams, and then you've got 2 5-6 teams. So it's just this even stretch.
It is perfectly mirrored. Yeah.
And no one is eliminated from playoffs. Immortals could have an insane 3-0 weekend and sneak into 6th place very easily. Shopify is hardly eliminated. They're only 1 game down from Dig or TL. Dig or TL just needs to have a bad 1-2 week. And by the way, TL and Dig play each other on Saturday.
So that's going to be broken no matter what.
So that's going to be interesting. Dig also has to play Cloud9, and TL has to play us. So, there could be some very interesting shenanigans to close out the season. No one is out, and as LEC likes to remind us every so often, every game matters. So, it's going to be a really interesting Super Week.
And what's even more fun for you, Sandy, is you're sitting in second place in the FlyQuest Pick'ems.
I am.
So, how are you feeling about doing the Pick'ems for this particular week?
I feel good. I feel confident. I think things are probably going to go mostly to chalk. I don't think it's going to be too many surprises. I think the teams that needed some help, like Cloud9, they figured some stuff out. I think NRG will look better than this past week. I think they'll be fine. To me, them being able to come back and win from some difficult circumstances is a good sign to me.
Yeah.
Like, sure, did they get themselves into bad spots? Yes. Did they then come back from a 7,000 gold deficit in the late game? Yeah. Like, I have to look at that and say, like, I think they can do that. Spoiler alert, that's why I have them beating us on Saturday. That's going to be my take. So, so there's that. Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting end. All right, hey, let's hit on the big match from yesterday, FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves, to determine who was walking into Super Week first place in LCS. This draft, boy, I liked this one a lot better. Back to the Olaf for Blippo, inspired. Just really
it was over then.
He gets to run around the map with the Sejuani. Masu just really pumped out the damage on the Ezreal. And then back to the Ashe support, but it looked a lot better today, I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jensen goes 10-0-12 on the Orianna. And then afterwards, he just calls it an average Orianna game. Which, like...
just casually getting 100% kill participation without dying once.
Right.
The average
100%
Orianna experience.
KP, destroys his opponent in lane. Just looked really clean on the Orianna. We know this man can play some sick Orianna. Nox, I see you grooving along with these assessments. What were your takeaways from this 100 Thieves matchup? I mean, people were looking at this as, is this the finals preview?
It's not the finals preview. Real quick, did either of you watch pros that came out this morning?
No, and you know what? Hang on. I literally said to myself, I don't have time to watch this, but someone's gonna bring it up on the show tonight. I'm gonna have to say no. I didn't watch it.
My bad. I mean, I don't have to talk about it, but like it was just an additional point I was going to make on it. But right. I could just go off of my stuff if you want to save it spoilers wise.
No. Go ahead. Please talk about it.
So, no, just basically the three pros that they had on was JoJo, Inspired, and Impact, all the ex-EG members, right?
Yeah.
And so at some point in the show, they're talking about 100 Thieves, and Raz asks them, like, what do you guys think of them? Like, and all three of them are like, I hope to God I get him first round. Please give me first round. It's the easiest 3-0 of our lives. Please, any of us, just give it to us. We want them. 3-0, it's so easy.
Yeah.
They're such big frauds. Like, all three of them are begging to have 100 Thieves as a first round matchup. And so, like, I'm kind of the same opinion, too. And granted, like, they're sitting there talking like, oh, it's going to be a 3-0, whatever. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0. I think River and Quid alone will check people into at least taking a game off of them.
Yeah.
But the team as a whole does not have good fundamentals. They're not great at the basics of professional League of Legends. They're very, very good at playing forward and checking opponents when they're not expecting it, which gives them a lot of advantages, especially in these best of ones, right?
Right.
But over the course of a best of 5 series, like, teams are going to start playing a little smarter, a little just safer in general, making sure that they can't get checked by these 100 Thieves kind of aggression plays.
Yeah.
And it's for that reason that nobody is predicting 100 Thieves to do well in playoffs, right? They're going to probably continue to do okay this week because, again, they have an easy week. But if they're in the top 4, they're going to get smacked by one of the other top 3 teams, right? How they do against, this is taking current standings. They may swap around, obviously, but how they do against either Team Liquid or Dignitas, yet to be seen. They may do okay in that. But at least against the top 3 teams, I don't see a world where this team is doing well.
Yeah, well, then some fighting words. Curly,
wow.
What were your thoughts on what Nox said, but then also I do want to hear your thoughts on the game as well.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, the big thing is I was excited for this game from the get-go because I was able to talk with David Shynock, one of the biggest 100 Thieves fanboys out there, and just talk about what the game is going to look like and kind of exactly what I thought was going to happen, where Whippo was able to body Sniper. And that's all you needed to happen. And I was in a couple Discords where it's like, it was looking rough on the bottom half, but Whippo was ahead in CS. I'm like, just wait for Whippo. He's going to do Olaf things and everything's going to be fine. And that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so the game, went pretty much as expected. I do have to commend River.
That was
Just
a
like the
nasty
little
little
007, like sneak 100.
The Trundle was
Like
really
that
good.
man, yeah, no, like that sneak 100 on the bot lane at the start, like, dude, must have been the wind. The guard wasn't paying attention to anything. Took an arrow to the knee, like every possible, just bam.
Right.
You know, could not see him, and
Yeah.
like that's one of the most impressive level 1 steals I've ever seen. Or I guess what is counter jungling, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But
I know what you mean.
in terms of what Nox says, is like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you're giving this team enough respect. Like I do appreciate that you talked about how River and Quid are good enough that they're gonna take at least a game off of people in the best of fives. I firmly agree in that, and like as long as they give Quid a champion that he can actually do something with instead of Karma like we did the day before, like it's just, if your mid laner is meant to deal damage and get kills, why would you give them Karma? It just makes no sense right now.
Right.
And so as long as they draft to enable their best players really well, and as long as they avoid us the entirety of playoffs, I could see them on the final stage losing 3-0 to us. You know?
Yeah.
But if they run into us early on, it might be a bit harder because I'm afraid that when we beat them, we will kill their momentum. So I think they can beat actually any other team in the league right now in a best of 5. I think as long as they sure they haven't about half the squad really hasn't actually played a best of 5, especially together. But I think they can kind of hack it together, especially with Sniper exceeding people's expectations. Like the hype was built up and he's still done a really good job independently as a rookie laner. I have to put a bit more respect on Tamich lately than I have been because I think he's actually doing pretty phenomenally in his rookie split. And then we all agree River is really good. And as long as Quid, like I said, is enabled, I do believe in this team's ability. Just not as much as ours.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it sounds to me like you kind of got David Shynock pilled a little bit. So
this is what you get for going on the show.
Right. Nox, any response to what Curly's been saying there?
I mean, in terms of not giving him enough credit, I'm just going to sit here and point back to the pros episode. I have everyone in the scene saying the exact same things. If anything, you should be calling me a parrot in that I'm not original in my own terms.
That's fair.
Like, if you want to call me a parrot in that aspect, cool. But I have a bunch of other pros and analysts saying the exact same thing. So we'll see who.
Those pros and analysts all had 100 Thieves at the bottom at the beginning of the split, and here they are in second place. So let the rift speak for itself, man.
Yeah. And, I mean, we'll see how it plays out in playoffs. But that's my current prediction, and I think that's what a lot of other people in the scene think too. Anyway, we need to get to the actual game. Do we want to hit on the actual game?
Yeah, I want to hear, Curly, I want to hear your thoughts first, and then Nox, your thoughts on the game afterwards.
So I think I'm really impressed with bot lane's ability. They kind of had a rough start with that secret agent River play early on. It put them behind, but late game, like that Ezreal, those EQs were shredding. Mm-hmm. They were deleting turrets. They were putting Kai'Sa out of the battle early on as long as you landed one. They were amazing. And then it was a standard game up top. I don't think I need to say anything more about it. Then I think I know Nox is going to be a little bit mad at this because when we were talking about it in some other Discords, people were saying Jensen MVP is back on the table, and he's just bus riding Bwipo's damage. It's all Bwipo, and all that stuff. But I'm still impressed because he had a very. I feel like I say this every time we talk about good Jensen gameplay. He had a very hairy early gank where he was able to barely escape, turn around, have Inspired be there, and we turned it into a kill for ourselves. It's kind of the classic thing. So it's sure, he's still an Orianna Azir merchant, but he's still got the mechanics. I don't know what else you need, man.
No, don't give me. So I ended up admitting he had a very, very good game. Not one of those it was an Azir Orianna merchant game. And granted, it was on Orianna, but he had a good game. It was a legitimately good game. He was everywhere he needed to be. He was he had a lot of agency around the map. Jensen had a good game. I can always admit when someone has a good game. Jensen had a good game. I'm not sold on MVP arguments for him though. Like, it's not happening. I'm sorry. Whippo, at least in the early game, did a lot more to open up the map than Jensen did in the early game. But Jensen 100% sealed the deal for FlyQuest this game, and that's, you know what? That's important. That's why he's there. So props to Jensen. You did good. But yeah, you're not getting MVP nods for me. Not yet.
Yeah, it would be a difficult. A lot would have to happen in week 6. He'd basically have to. He'd have to 1v9 all 3 games, and then he would have to go back in time and 1v9 another couple more games in like weeks 2 and let's just say 4. How about that? That's what it would take for me to get there. And it's not because I don't think he's been playing well. I actually think he's been playing really well for us. He's stayed. This is not a league pun. He has stayed in his lane. He's been doing what he is very qualified and very good at doing, which is playing control mages and controlling his lane and not letting his opponent get out of hand, not letting his opponent get way too far ahead, and doing all kinds of nonsense all over the rift. So to that extent, I think Jensen has been playing his role very, very well, and I'm very pleased with it. We discussed before the season began, what we were hoping to see from him, and this basically lines up, is that he plays his role, he doesn't, cause us to lose. I can't really think of an instance this season where, like, Jensen's play in particular has caused us to lose. Like, basically,
he's not had any int moments. He's had none.
2 of our 3 losses were basically because the bot lane got screwed early and fell super behind, and then we couldn't do anything. And then this game in against Cloud9 Saturday was mainly because Inspired kind of got boned due to some smart thinking on Cloud9's part. So Jensen's never been the problem for me. He's just also not been like the standout carry player. To me, like, Bwippo and Inspired so much more have been those players, doing unique things, playing strong, taking down their opponents. I'd love to check. I wish we had the numbers on it. I don't remember Jensen getting any like solo kills this split so far. So
he had one.
Got some early on.
Yeah, let me double check though. I know he's had at least one.
So all that to say, he's not been like the crazy standout great player, or he has been a great player. Not been the crazy standout like top 1% of the league.
He's not an elite player.
Right, but
He's
I think if you rank
player.
him for All Pro, I think he makes top 3. I think he makes All Pro.
I think he's third. I think he is the third best mid right now.
I think he's absolutely top 3 mid in the league right now. So I'm pleased, I think here's an interesting question. I think all of our players have an argument to be made to make All Pro, in not necessarily first place, but like there's an argument to be made for all of them to get top 3.
I think the hardest one to argue is probably bot lane AD carry, but that's just because AD carry this season has been a mess.
Yeah,
it is hard to rank anything.
Masu has not really stood out. I think Busio should be getting.
You should be getting.
Busio should be first All Pro, I think.
Yeah, if not second, definitely first.
Whippo should be first All Pro.
Inspired should be top 2, probably. Maybe 3. He could be 3. River could be up there.
River is doing a lot for his team.
River is doing a lot. So, but I think everyone has a good argument to be made. All right. Let's actually jump to, assuming there's nothing left to talk about with week 5, let's jump to week 6. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Gonna move on over to our presentation mode. Here we are.
with predictions that were totally made before the show.
Oh, I mean, they were made, Curly. In terms of graphics that were made for the show, I couldn't
They were made
tell
before
you.
the show.
Sure, they were made, definitely made before the show. And here they are. As I spoiled
Anything you got
earlier,
otherwise was an amendment.
As I spoiled earlier, I've got NRG over us. Nox has TL beating us. Interesting. And Curly 3-0 per usual. Let's skip over Dig. I think we all feel pretty good about taking down Dig. Not many arguments to be made on that one.
Nope.
Nox, I want to come to you right away. Team Liquid did not look good this past weekend. And now you have them beating us on Friday. What's the thought line here?
So, don't get me wrong. Like, TL as a whole did not look good, but they had many, many moments throughout both of their games where they had shining moments and where it was like, okay, TL, you look like a semi-decent team again. And so it's more of just the fact that I'm expecting Fly to kind of be winding down a little bit because after the win versus Dig, because I believe we played TL on Saturday,
Yes.
I think that at that point our seeds should be pretty much locked, I think. And so I think more than likely what's going to happen is Fly's going to take the time to maybe experiment a little bit. TL's going to be trying extremely hard, fighting for the possibility of getting into the top 4, or who knows, depending on how their match goes on Friday, maybe they're fighting to stay out of the bottom 2 spots, right? And so either way, I think TL is going to be trying hard, and TL in general, I think, is just on the verge of figuring things out, and so I think this would be the one game that Fly drops.
Interesting. Curly, what's your take on this?
I mean, I'm not really that scared of TL, clearly. Because I just don't think they quite have it together, especially like the bot lane has been kind of what I feel FlyQuest lives and dies by. Because like if you look at all of our losses, things kind of start to go wrong there first. And so I just have more faith in our bot lane than I do in Yon and Core JJ. So I think that's something that'll be fine. Like, unless Umti is able to kind of reenact what River did in terms of like effectively stopping us and then keep it up instead of having Blippo and Jensen like just pull us from whatever setback that is, like, then maybe it's fine. And they've got a better chance because I respect Impact as top laner, so like definitely more even matchup up there, but I'm not really pressed about this team overall, especially if you can throw such a big lead against Cloud9.
Yeah, I think my take on this TL game is that I think TL is one of those teams where they can beat anyone and lose to anyone, which does make them dangerous, which does mean you have to look out for them. They have talented players on their team. They really do. And you can't overlook them. It just seems to me like they don't quite have everything under control right now. And, you know, for their sake, I hope that they figure it out. Because I do like this team. I like the players on it. It just doesn't seem to me that they have everything together. Now, if they get a good, you know, early game and can close out the game better than they did against like NRG, then, you know, we could be in trouble. But I just feel that I think teams in week 6 are gonna look to play a little bit more of like comfort rather than like experimenting. Because I think, you know, FlyQuest, yes, we've locked playoffs, but we're really trying to lock that top 4, lock that first seed. So I think we're going to stick with what's comfortable. I think TL is going to stick with what's comfortable. And I think our comfort beats their comfort. Nox, sounded like you had a disagreement of sorts.
I was just going to say, it sounds funny because a lot of the arguments that you're making for TL right there, I feel like you could also make for NRG. Like how inconsistent they are and so on and so forth. So I don't know, maybe you want to explain your NRG take.
I'll put it this way.
Yeah, let's go to NRG.
I weigh NRG's ability to come from behind twice in one weekend higher than TL's ability to throw away a big lead.
Okay.
I think the resilience, the mental resilience, and just the skill needed from NRG to do that against TL, mind you, is higher than, you know, what TL did to get to the point where they threw away the game, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but NRG did beat us once before. And I think this is a team that has... They show some glimpses of complete chaos and no structure, and they show glimpses of incredibly in sync moments. He looked really good over the weekend, in particular. Yeah, and I think I'm just still holding out hope ultimately that NRG is going to be good. And will be that top 3 team that we expect them to be. And so I look at the 3 teams that we're playing this week, and in my head, I'm kind of metagaming it a little bit, where I'm like, I just don't think we're going to 3-0. I don't think FlyQuest is good enough to just walk into a Super Week and 3-0 it right now. I think the league is just too close. So where does the one loss come from? Well, it's not going to come from Dig, most likely. I don't think it's going to come from TL because of what I just saw this past weekend. Out of the 3 teams, NRG looked the best. I think that's where it's going to be.
So you and I are actually kind of the same, on the only difference being which team it comes from. Like, I was kind of metagaming it too. It was like it's super weak. The parity in the league is so close. I just don't foresee a world where FlyQuest gets out of this with a 3-0.
Right.
So you and I are the same on that page, and then we'll see if Curly is the true guru prediction god.
Metagame. Oh, there's no way they go 3-0. There's no way. Shut up. Come on. Come on. We have held first place the entire time, you know, and we've, like, out of 5 weeks, 2 of them have been perfect because they have been perfect. Why can't we do it again? You know, because you're right. We're probably going to go comfort. And 2 of our 3 losses have been from experimenting. And I don't even remember how we lost the first one, if I'm being perfectly honest. So it doesn't even matter. So, like, it's an easy 3-0 because I'll admit I'm a bit more nervous about the NRG bot lane. If there's any game I think I could be wrong about, it is this one, because I hold NRG on a higher pedestal than I do Team Liquid, and like who he really is ramping up. I think we need to make sure he does not get Nautilus if we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success. But overall, we're going to end on a high note and sit as we like. We're going to be the people around the ring as the monkeys fight for their spots in the tiebreaker at the end of it. You know, that is what we are. We are going to be above the rest.
Interesting.
With a 3-0.
With the full 3-0. Nox, you want to respond to that at all?
I mean, I'll let Curly have his faith. I mean, my prediction, to be fair, between the 2 of you, my predictions are in the gutter this split. I am far, far behind both of you, so maybe I'm just terribly wrong on this. And I probably am.
Me right now.
Am I?
In terms of our predictions, we're not going to talk about Pick'ems. Pick'ems don't matter here.
Okay. In terms of our predictions, then maybe I have a chance. I was going off of overall Pick'ems. My Pick'ems this split have been garbage.
I have been very consistent.
Yeah, you've been
absurdly consistent.
Sandy's been smurfing. The only other person who's been smurfing harder has been Dean.
It's true.
But we'll see if you can hold on to it.
Well, here's what I do know about Week 6. It's going to be close. It's going to be fun. And they'll be back on stage finally, so there will be an audience. And we won't have to...
Our rightful place.
We won't have to be locked in a cage with, like, no room to breathe or anything like that. So...
That being said, VCT taking the main stage made for some great content with the Busio thing.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good. I did enjoy that.
They don't know we locked playoffs.
All right. Let's move forward. NACL, FlyQuest Challengers did not play this past weekend. However, they are still atop the league after having taken down Maryville 2 weeks ago, as well as another team who I just was looking at. They took down AOE, Area of Effect Esports. And next week, they've only got 2 more matches to go. Supernova, who's sitting in 3rd place right now, and the off to relegations Mirage Alliance. So, Nox, let's assume this is going to be a clean 2-0 over Mirage, right? Supernova could provide some difficulties.
No, Supernova is actually a really, really good team. I was predicting they're actually exactly where I put them in my power rankings. So for anyone who doesn't know what this team's roster is, you'll actually probably recognize some of the names. You have Faisal, who was originally FlyQuest Challengers top, as well as Cincinnati Fears top before they had a swap with Philip. You have Kenvi, who was originally the Immortals LCS jungler. Shochi, who was also back on Cincinnati Fear the year previous. Array, who I'm blanking on his team history, but he's been around for a little while. And then Diamond, who also used to be on FlyQuest itself. So this is a pretty freaking stacked team for a Challenger squad, right?
Yeah.
So yes, 100%. Like, this is not an easy matchup. I still expect Fly to win. They've been just that good throughout the entirety of the split, right? But Supernova is going to make him work for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be interesting. Here's the one thing, though, that I'm seeing about Supernova. Their wins. Here's their wins. I'm going to read them off. AOE, Disguised, Lit, Mirage, and TL Challengers.
All the bottom teams.
All 5 of those teams are the bottom half teams. They have lost to Cincinnati Fear and Maryville. They play us and Wildcard. That
is a very hard last weekend, by the way. Wildcard is like, they're only 4-4, but Wildcard is a very good team.
Yeah. So this is like a world where Supernova finishes 5-4 for the split, and drops down to like 5th place or something. There's a world where that happens.
Lee in the chat says Array was on Team Fish Taco last summer. So thank you, Lee, for the shout out on that.
Oh yeah. So Supernova's good, but they've gotten here by beating up on the bad teams, and they have not done well against Maryville or Cincinnati Fear. So
would you consider them the benchmark team then?
I would. Yeah, I think I would consider them the benchmark team. They're kind of like right in that middle spot right now for me. I probably have Fear and Wildcard over them right now, even though the records don't reflect it.
I'm very excited for the Supernova Wildcard match. Like, it should be a very close, very good game.
I think it'll tell us a lot about the relative power.
Yeah, I'm personally giving it to Supernova. I still think the team in general is probably a little bit better. I will say, oh man, yeah, it's just hard. I'm going to give it to Supernova. I have faith in them to pull it out, but like, these 2 teams are very, very close in terms of power level, and I hope that they meet again in playoffs.
Yeah. Are there any teams in the qualifiers that will be going up against Mirage and probably Lit Esports that we should know about?
So currently, right now, you have Blue Otter Esports, which is their original name in the first OQ1 was Euphoria, and then they rebranded under the Blue Otter name because they got sponsored.
Oh, nice.
So they took first. They should be coming in because they're still they're in OQ2 right now as well, and they're in the playoff section. And so they're in the upper bracket of the GSL formats right now. So they have one more best of 3, and then they'll enter quarterfinals. They should be getting through all that. You should be 100% expecting them to be making it into the promotion relegation tournament. Actually, let me Google Rally Cry really quick. I can give you a better idea. But that's like the one team you should really be keeping an eye on. You may recognize their jungler, Music. He was also in the NACL for a brief period of time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who else we got here? Come on, Leadpedia. Ole Miss, if you guys are familiar with Collimer,
Yep.
that's his team. Winthrop University is probably the big one I was forgetting, and I
Yep.
shouldn't be forgetting. Winthrop University is extremely, extremely good. You will 100% be seeing them in the relegation tournament. They are just that fantastic.
Nice, that'll be exciting.
No,
And then I think if I had to, I think it's a total of 4. So let me drop one last fourth team. I think the last fourth team that should probably be sneaking in is Team Fish Taco.
Okay.
Team Fish Taco is really, really good. There's a couple other teams that are really, really good, but that's just my like off the top of my head, very limited like tape watched team that I'm gonna just throw out there and say, hey, they have a good chance of making it into the relegation tournament too. So those are my 4 teams. You should be expecting to see them going up against Mirage and I guess technically the losers of Team Liquid and possibly AOE.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Yeah, like the way the NACL is gonna pan out, like you could see Disguised in this even, which would be crazy. I hope we don't see Disguised.
That would be very wild.
That would
for sure.
suck.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: as long as Team Liquid beats Lit, I think Lit should be the only one in the bottom.
Oh, Lit. That's what I was getting. They're both yellow logos. I was getting them mixed up in my head. Lit is the team I was expecting to be in the
SMH.
Yeah,
fake NACL fan.
My bad. Yeah,
you know, I love how we haven't even taken the time to talk about how our final matchup to end the season, which is also the final game of the regular season, is against Mirage. Are we not worried about them at all?
I'll be honest.
Not at all. Not whatsoever.
I know. They are 1 in 7.
Now something crazy is going to happen, right?
Because here's the thing.
Man.
As long as FlyQuest beats Supernova, they have tiebreaker over Maryville pretty much no matter what, which secures them in their first seed. So, like you could literally, unless there's tiebreaker rules that I'm not aware of, where it's like game count or something, you could literally throw away like this last match and it would not even. So yeah, okay, if they lose, they lose. Like, well, not a big deal. Because the other thing is, it's like Mirage is also limited. They could actually have a for fun match. I would not be surprised if they did a for fun match. I'm not sure if they will. They probably should.
I hope they don't. That would be sad.
But like stats wise or standings wise, you could, because the match literally does not matter. Right. So, but yeah, I hope they don't either. But you could.
See, I was just trying to bait you into flaming Mirage because I know you're not scared.
Nothing against Mirage. I mean, well, actually, there are things against Mirage, but that's a whole different thing. I don't really want to get into that. Yeah,
not on this pod.
Yeah, maybe on a different like NACL or a tier 3 pod or something we can get into it, but it's not worth the time on this. Yeah, at the end of the day, next week I'm expecting 2-0. FlyQuest Challengers should be good. Should be 8-0 at the end of the day, heading into playoffs, first seed. I'm excited to watch these guys.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. They're doing really good. You know, probably could beat some of these bottom tier LCS teams, and probably do in scrims. I'll be.
I know I'm not going to name names, but there's been a certain FlyQuest staff member in a certain Discord that both of you are in who has confirmed that FlyQuest Challengers has played LCS teams and has actually not done that bad. So, yes, they can take games off of LCS teams, and they could probably be a little higher than low pack of the LCS if Riot allowed them to play.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Agree. All right. Let's move forward, running behind per usual. You know, when are we not running behind on the show? Valorant.
We just average an hour and a half nowadays anyway.
It's true.
We're just trying to delay random announcements on the main Twitter.
Exactly. Right. Hey, let's talk about the FlyQuest Red teams for a little bit here. Game Changers main event number 1, Series 1 for North America starts tomorrow night. 2 matches at 5 and then another 2 at 7:30. Those are the upper quarterfinals. It is a double elimination bracket, so that's great. So always a second chance. FlyQuest and Shopify Rebellion on opposite sides of the bracket, by the way. So they will not meet until upper finals at the earliest if they, make it through and 2-0 their series, 2-1 their series, right? And I don't believe they If they both were to randomly lose, they might meet in lowers earlier, but I doubt that's going to happen, frankly. Um, from what I understand, there's no like international tournament that this qualifies them to. This is all for circuit points. However,
Correct.
just making top 8 at all is very good for, circuit points for game changers. However, need to start racking them up more and more and more. For me, it's top 4 or bust for this team. Need to get that top 4, need to make it through. I will elevate that expectation, like the stretch goal is like finals. Like grand finals needs to be the goal. Obviously winning should be the ultimate goal, but in terms of like benchmarks that I would take, it's basically like bronze is top 4, silver is top 2, and gold is, winning the whole thing. But this team is good. We know they're good. And like the big thing that I keep thinking to myself about this team is they made grand finals of both qualifiers back to back. Now, yes, no, they did not win. Sure. Haters, whatever.
Went 1 and 2 in both though. One of which was against the best team in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They can take maps off the best team in the world. This is easily, if not a top 2, a top 3 women's team in, not women's team, Game Changers team in North America. So I feel really confident about them going into this tournament. I'm excited. The fun starts tomorrow night, like I said. It's basically every day until March 10th. So you got quarterfinals tomorrow, and then the next round, both upper and lower, is the 6th. Lower round 2 is the 7th. Upper final and lower round 3, the 8th. Lower final the 9th. Grand final the 10th. So it's all this week. Finishing up on Sunday. So it'll be a good week of FlyQuest Red matchups. On
Very
the
excited.
ESEA Advanced side, I do believe that FlyQuest Red did not make it to playoffs. They did respectably make it to 7-7 in the season, which was really good. They were actually pretty far down for a hot second, but they managed to work their way back up. They did end up they tied a bunch of other teams at 7-7, and then their tiebreaker score dropped them down to 35th, unfortunately. And I believe top 32 make it into the playoff bracket. That is unfortunate, obviously. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and I believe, the playoffs already began anyway, as it is. They started today for season 48. So we'll move on to season 49. But hey, just for me personally, like 7-7 in your first season in advanced is really, really good. Making top 40, top 35 even, just a couple, like literally one map away from making this top 32, making it to playoffs. So that's huge. I think that's really great. Super exciting. And I'll be excited to see what they've got coming up next, as I'm sure season 49 is right around the corner. Okay, that's all I've got from there. Do you guys have any takes on FlyQuest Red in any shape or form?
I think the one
I'm very excited for Game Changers. Sorry about that, Ox. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
You're good. Go for it.
Yeah, no. I firmly looking at the bracket here. I expect to win our quarterfinals matchup in the upper bracket. That's going to be easy. I'm thinking we'll probably get a rematch against Passion Project in the second round. And considering how close that series was the first time, with a little bit of workshopping, which I trust the team has done, I think we're going to be able to pull it off and head straight to that upper bracket final. So I think that top 4 is just a guarantee for this team,
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is the only 2 teams that Fly Red lost to in the grand finals of both qualifiers was Passion Project and Shopify, right? So for me, I know you, Sandy, you were kind of saying like top 4. Uh, I kind of have higher expectations. I really want to see everyone on this team make it to top 3 again, like bare
Yeah.
minimum. And especially, I I ended up watching back like the VOD of the Passion Project uh, matchup, and I really thought they could have that. Like I think they just didn't quite clutch up when it was needed. So I really think that this team is beatable, and I think they can make it all the way to the grand finals yet again. Which, if you're making it to the grand finals, supposedly champs is like top 2, which puts you in a great position to be able to go again, right? So hopefully that's what ends up happening. My expectations are minimum top 3 though. So hopefully everyone on the team can do it again, and I'm proud of them. They look great. I'm hoping to see them continue.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really, really, really good week. Final thing that I do want to mention, Jmook, 5th at Genesis after feeling really terrible from what I understand. He was not feeling great going into the tournament and managed to clutch out the 5th place. And then this past weekend at Full Bloom, or a couple weekends ago now, sorry, at Full Bloom took 2nd place, where he made it all the way through upper bracket to grand finals, taking down Zane in the process in a 3-2, and then Zane ends up resetting the bracket on him in another 3-2, and then Zane takes it 3-1 in the grand final reset. So obviously tough way to go out there, but some really good results coming from him lately. He's clearly one of the top players in the world. Once he just gets past Amsa's Yoshi, then we'll be good to go. No problem.
That freaking Yoshi, dude.
That
Yoshi is
one of these days.
One of these days. We'll get past the Yoshi. All right. That should be everything that we've got. And I will say he's also got 2 tournaments coming up soon. He's got Collision 2024, which is a huge tourney, and then that's in week and a half, and then Battle of BC6 at the end of March. So he is registered and signed up for both of those. So 2 tournaments coming your way for Jmook action, which will be great. All right, I believe that now we have hit the end of everything here. Any final topics that we need to cover before we close out the night?
Nothing I can think of.
Really, really fast. FlyFighter series started up again for Street Fighter 6, and I think what's the other game that they're doing? Because they're alternating weeks, but I'm blanking on the other game right now. But either way, FlyQuest is alternating games, FlyFighter series every week. Our own social media manager, Parkbomb's playing in it, so go cheer him on if you ever get the chance. Punk took 2nd last week, and then they're doing the other game this week. So I don't know who all is playing in it this week, but if you're a fighting game fan, go check that out. Should be on the twitch.tv/FlyQuest.
Sweet. Great shout out. Perfect. All right. Well, that is everything we've got. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another episode of Flight Check. Super Week is back. Week 6. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 huge games, 12 huge games all weekend long. We've got TL, NRG, and Dig. Great slate for you. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for all of our reactions and thoughts to the action. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. And if you missed any part of the episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode live here on Twitch, usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Quick shout out to friend of the show, Dean, for his 11-month sub tonight. Always appreciated. And hey, you never know. If you've got that follow button and it's unfollowed, or that sub button and it's unsubbed, you can smash those buttons right now and show your support. We always appreciate every little thing that everyone gives us. All right, Curly, any final shout-outs or plugs before we wrap up?
I'm gonna give a big shout out to just the teams that I've had today while I've been cooking with the smolder top. No one has flamed me at all. Believe it or not, no one has flamed me. Like, even my lane opponents are just like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Because I'm trying to cook." And they're like, "All right." And so, shout out to Riot for giving me the best matchmaking today. Um, and shout out to homie Licorice in another Discord for encouraging my chaotic experimentation.
There you go. I love it. Knox, how about you?
Three things really fast. One, new me in the chat. It's Guilty Gear that is being played this week. So and Razvo should be playing in that for the FlyFighters series.
Awesome. Well, that'd be great to see.
Number two, shout out to F1 with some of the spiciest sports drama I've seen in quite a while. If you're not a Formula One fan, get situated with it and then go look up all the Red Bull allegations that are going on right now with Christian Horner. It has been extremely entertaining, especially because the races themselves are going to be the exact same as they were last year, and nothing much is going to change in that aspect. So the off-the-track drama is what's keeping this sport alive right now, and it is some fancy, good drama.
Spoiler alert: Verstappen's going to win the whole thing again. So.
Yeah. Max Verstappen.
And then the last thing I'll say is this Thursday, I am going to be streaming. These two on my sides may be joining me throughout the night or through the whole thing. We're not quite sure yet, but I'm going to be going over the MVP prospects for the LCS and going over who's deserving, who's not deserving, and what needs to be done for those prospects going into the last week to be able to secure their MVP bid. So if you want to tune in Thursday, I'll probably be doing that on the YouTube channel for Flight Check, and I'll see you all there.
All right. Sick. All right. From me, shout out to Dune 2. I saw it Saturday night. Go see this movie. Sorry, it's not Dune 2. It's Dune Part 2. Part 2.
Technically, it's Dune 3. It's the third movie.
Are we talking about the freaking 80s Dune?
We don't mention the David Lynch. In my
household,
household, the David Lynch version does not exist. So, incredible movie. Cinematography, incredible. Soundtrack, incredible. Acting, pretty good. Action, very good. One of the best translations of a book to the screen that I've ever seen, besides, like, Lord of the Rings.
Dang. Pretty high praise.
Very, very good. I'm a huge Dune fan, so... Really.
I was gonna say, I know you're a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Yes,
so
yeah,
like,
both.
If you're making that comparison.
Wow.
Like, that's a big praise.
It's incredible. All right. Well, that is all we've got. So until next time, stay safe out there. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.
Come close to me. I'll whisper in your ear the things that we could be. I'll drown us in the purple drapes that you were clothed in. We could live like royalty.